Okay, Joe. Good evening, Pueblo, Colorado. It is Monday, April 20th, 2026, 5:30 p.m. And I will now call this work session for Pueblo City Council to order. First up on the council's agenda is I'd like to welcome Brian McCain, Chief of Staff. I'll recognize Brian for 5 minutes for city update.
Thank you, ma'am. So the Team Up to Cleanup, the twice annual cleanup event for city residents, is on Saturday, May 2nd from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 3 convenient locations. Bring your household trash, large items, and tires off the rim at CSU Pueblo and the Colorado State Fairgrounds. Or bring your unbagged yard waste like leaves, branches, and more to Recycle Works. No oversized truckloads, moving vehicles, construction debris, hazardous waste, or electronics. This is free for all city residents, and you must bring your ID or utility bill that shows your residential addresses inside the city of Pueblo. Colorado Matters podcast. Tune into the Colorado Matters podcast with Colorado Public Radio on Wednesday, April 22nd to hear from Lynn Clark of the Pueblo Riverwalk. Recently at the Downtown Colorado Inc. in the Game Awards, honorees for the Downtown Excellence Awards were invited to record the Colorado Matters podcast about their work and other from around Colorado to highlight revitalization and innovation in their communities. You can listen to it online at npr.org or find the Colorado Matters podcast or wherever you stream your podcasts on another platform. Just an update on our municipal court cleanups. Last week, April 13th through the 17th, the municipal court cleanup crews cleaned up 3 bridges, 47 alleyways, 12 hotspots, and multiple camps during the week. Their trash, debris, and load total was 22,940 pounds of trash just for those few days last week. And then finally, President Aliff, the Riverwalk Boathouse grand opening is Thursday, April 24th at 3 p.m. this Thursday. So come celebrate the opening of the channel extension in the Boathouse project. We'll all be there. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Up next on the council's agenda, I'd like to welcome Mr. Gil Romero for lobbyist update. The chair will recognize Mr. Romero for the next 30 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our report is actually really short tonight. I just wanted to bring you up to date on some of the bills that we're following for the city, but also wanted to give you a brief update on the state budget. This past week, the Senate passed the $50 billion budget. The previous week had been passed by the House. The Senate passed it this week, and it's on conference committee this week, and hopefully on to the governor's desk for his signature. We wanted to bring you up to date on 2 items that we were following for the city that had impact to the city. One was brought to us by Brian McCain, the Chief of Staff, and this involved the Colorado Veterans Trust Fund. Mr. McCain had given us some insight on this particular trust fund. There was a discussion by the Joint Budget Committee to sweep or take the $4 million out of that trust fund. As you know, it's funded with the Tobacco Master Settlement Funds. Mr. McCain had also indicated that there's at least there's the intention of building a center in Pueblo. We talked to the Joint Budget Committee and Joint Budget Committee staff. They had indicated that this fund had not been used like its intent, but the Joint Budget Committee decided not to sweep the $4 million this year. They took 70, but there's obviously the intention of the Joint Budget Committee to look at this fund next year. What I recommended to the Chief of Staff there is that if the city intends to build a Veterans Center, that they do it this next year, because that particular fund potentially could be swept and those funds gone and we would lose our opportunity to provide, needed resources for our veterans in Pueblo. We're still trying to get some clarification in the conference committee. One of the things that happened last year is that the local share of the marijuana tax fund that goes to municipalities and local governments, it was at 9% last year. They reduced it to 3%. This year, we worked with a number of folks from the Colorado Municipal League to preserve that 3%, and if not preserve the 3% this year, to only sweep that fund this year, and hopefully that 3% that is awarded municipalities would be in the fund for next year. There was some some discussion of both in the budget bill and an orbital bill, and we're still trying to get some clarification. But we believe that amendment passed, allowing the joint budget committee to sweep it for 1 year. But we'll get some clarification at our next meeting. So those are the two things that, and we wanted to just give kudos to Brian McCain for alerting us to this issue around the Colorado Veterans Trust Fund. It is intended for a number of really important things that for our veterans, including rent, mortgage payments, utility bills, medical or dental expenses. There's an application process for grants for local governments, and I assume that's the one that the city or organizations in Pueblo, not necessarily the city, would apply to build this center. So we were successful in keeping that $4 million in that fund, and we hope that Pueblo will be able to avail itself of that. And I'll turn it over to Alec to just give you a brief update on two of the more significant bills that were falling for the city.
Thank you. Good evening, city council members and staff, and to the mayor. Just a few updates on some of the bills that we're following. Senate Bill 70, ban government access to historical location information database. This is the LPR bill. It's scheduled for Appropriations Committee tomorrow morning. We are expecting amendments that will heavily reduce the fiscal note. And with that, the key swing vote that we were counting on has flipped in favor of the bill. So assuming that it makes it out of Appropriations Committee, we're going to begin lobbying the Senate members on the floor for the Senate floor vote, as well as House members in case it advances out of the Senate. And House Bill 26-1037, ban government purchase of personal data from third party. This bill has not been calendared since its first hearing when it was laid over for action only. As the bill is written now, the bill does not have the support from the committee to get out of committee. And so the next two bills, House Bill 26-1202, strategies to reduce and prevent homelessness. This bill passed the Senate, and it's headed to the governor's desk for his signature. And then lastly, House Bill 26-1313. This is the affordable housing bill. It's scheduled for its first hearing in the Senate on Thursday, and we are coordinating with Melissa Cook, who will testify on behalf of the city. And we have spoken with committee members, and we are expecting the bill to pass out of committee on Thursday. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Councilors, I will open up some time now to field any questions. The chair recognizes Councilor Boston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to extend my gratitude and thanks to Chief of Staff Brian McCain for following up on that Veterans Center. I just really appreciate all the hard work you do, always following these bills and trying to get the advocacy for that in our community. So I just want to say thanks for that.
Councilors, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on with the council's agenda. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, City Council, and Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Up next on the council's agenda, I'd like to welcome Sharon Campbell. She will give us a presentation on the ADA committee update. Thank you for coming, Ms. Campbell. And we will recognize you for your presentation for 15 minutes.
Thank you. We do
Absolutely.
have a PowerPoint. The ADA Committee, Advisory Committee, was originally established in 2004 under direction of the Department of Justice because the city of Pueblo was randomly inspected along with many other cities of a similar size, and like just about all of them, failed the ADA inspection. And so as a result of the settlement agreement with the DOJ, we have this committee. And it would be nice if this could go up just a smidgen so I could see the rest of my, thank you. Thank you very much. Members are appointed for 4-year terms by Mayor Graham at this point. And members don't necessarily have to have a disability, but they have to have a family member with disability or something, professional expertise with that disability. And anytime now, my PowerPoint will be back. We do have Zoom options for meetings, and we like it when people from the city come to our meetings, and we very much appreciate Diane Dante coming and seeing what it is we do and why we're here. If you have others who would be interested in attending, it's an open meeting. Anyone can attend any meeting. The link to the settlement agreement is in the PowerPoint in case anybody wants to check it out. All right. We have a number of successes. Our primary job is to make sure that the city, county, and state facilities are accessible and services. And we now have assistive listening devices for the Pueblo Area Council of Governments Board of Directors meetings. And we have these for this meeting, which we appreciate. There's now an ADA accessible path in the City Park Fountain Pavilion, which there did not used to be, and now we even have a parking space there. It could use a little revision, but we're happy to have it. We did a walk roll audit on Small and Mesa Avenues by the State Fairgrounds, and we did that because it was not accessible by any stretch of the imagination, and the city fixed that. Dutch Clark Stadium was built in 1955, and as a result, there are severe constraints as to what could be done with it. But we did ask for and got 2 ADA accessible bathroom pods. It was not possible to modify the bathrooms, but we do have the pods available. And they have been working out well as far as we know. Next slide. Memorial Hall seating area has been a challenge, as of course Memorial Hall was built even before Dutch Clark Stadium. So there's only so much we can do with it. But we have an expert on our committee who did a detailed ADA assessment of Memorial Hall seating area. It was found to be in compliance with ADA requirements. And the operators of Memorial Hall, the Memorial Hall, not the City Hall, have gone above the requirements by providing a direct call line to a person that can help address any concerns or suggestions. There are some ongoing safety issues to be resolved. And if you have somebody with a mobility impairment trying to get out in an emergency, that's going to be a challenge, and we hope to continue working to see if we can find a resolution to that. Rita, you have anything to add?
One of the cheapest resolutions that I've offered is that, have one of the ushers let people in and out through the side doors, the doors that people exit through. They can go right into Memorial Hall. It makes it more accessible and it makes it safer for people like me. Cause if I try and go down the ramp, I sure don't want to hurt myself.
Okay. Thank you, Rita. Next slide. The County Services Center on 8th and Main now has a restroom with an adult changing table. You're all familiar with children's changing tables, but there are people who need adult changing tables. They have been a challenge. We had hoped to have some of those in the restrooms pods at Dutch Clark Stadium, but that was not logistically feasible. However, the County Services Center now has a restroom with an adult changing table. When you go on the main floor, they have an ADA accessible restaurant that has that table, and you're welcome to come and take a look at it. It can be very important to letting people with adults who need changing tables have freedom of movement. Next slide. There are challenges. Pueblo West. Oh, the city website has a few deficiencies on it. We need to put the agenda on every month, which we do, but it needs to have notification to notify our new ADA coordinator that they need accommodations. Our updated bylaws, which we approved in January 2024, which was not really our favorite activity to do, but we did it, are still not on our webpage. And our updated meeting location is not on our webpage. We are now meeting at the Rawlings Library, almost always in the Friends of the Library room. We moved our location because we wanted something that was public transit friendly. And the Center toward Self-Reliance out on 8th, opposite the Chieftain Building, just is not bus transit friendly. So we did relocate that. Right now, there's no mid-block ADA access and parking on Allen Hamel Avenue. Can't get to the boathouse, the businesses, and the Riverwalk. That's a long stretch. It's a long ways to walk if you have difficulty walking. That is a project underway by our wonderful Public Works Department. There is a new wheelchair lift in the ice arena, but it's now inoperable again. Seems the company that built it went out of business in China, and finding parts has been a challenge, and the ice arena is working on the project. Restroom access in city parks is limited to during events only. I don't have a solution to that. That's going to be very difficult. However, people who can use regular restrooms also have access limited to during events only. So it's equal in access to everybody. The Waterworks Park at the Arkansas River north of City Park is inaccessible for people with disabilities due to parking topography. And unfortunately, there's not a lot can be done about that either, but it is something being worked on, and I have confidence that some sort of a solution will be found. The Langone Sports Complex at 2101 West 24th Street is also not adequately accessible. So these are all challenges for us to deal with this coming year. and on after that. Next slide. The convention center crosswalks from the parking structure to the sidewalk and then from the sidewalk to the entrances of the building are very long distances. Again, difficult to walk. Lacking the ability to put in a Star Trek type transporter from the parking garage to the entrance. What we do need is signage because you get there to a door and it's never the one that's unlocked. You have to go a long ways to find another one that's also not unlocked. And eventually, if you're really lucky, you find one that is unlocked. We need signage telling people which door is unlocked during events. Or if there is no event, to the main door. Snow shoveling is also extremely important. It's an awkward area and it's easy to have things get icy and have people fall, which is definitely not what you want to have the lawyer having to deal with. There are curb cuts there, but they're not well marked and they're not easily identified. And that should be a pretty easy fix with paint. Next slide. We have been endeavoring to communicate with the business community and having mixed success. I did meet with the local Home Builders Association to explain visitability. How many of you have heard of visitability? How many of you have not heard of visitability? How many of you aren't listening at all? All right. Visitability is a philosophy in building a home where you make it so that one entrance is at grade or something that a wheelchair can easily enter. The doorways are wider for wheelchair mobility, and one bathroom on the main floor has the wide doorway and the grab bars or whatever. This is different from making a home accessible, which goes a lot further than that. We were trying to get the Home Builders Association to see that if you have a visitable home, it means that someone like Rita or Tura over there could come over and borrow a cup of sugar and not have to wait outside on the sidewalk outside. That is something that adds a little bit of expense, but not a lot. And prevents people from having to do very expensive retrofitting later. If someone acquires a permanent mobility impairment, or let's say they have a mother-in-law that they like and they want to have over for Thanksgiving. You have a mother-in-law you don't like, then you don't need a visitable home. But visitability is something that we were not particularly able to persuade them that is a good thing to do because it does add some cost. But we hope to continue working on that. Unfortunately, it's above our pay grade, but until visitability is built into the state building code, there's not a whole lot of sway that we have. The committee still wants to communicate with the Concilias, who have renovated the large home on Ormond in Colorado. It's a beautiful property. And it's going to be, it's a B&B and event center. And we tried to talk to them. We realize it's an old property and it can't be made fully accessible, but we did have some ideas for things that would make it more accessible than it is. Unfortunately, they have not yet responded to our request to visit. So that's another challenge. The Pueblo Chili and Frijole Festival accessibility challenges are perpetual. One day, in the best of all possible worlds, the city is going to figure out how to redo the Union Street Bridge and make it so that it is high enough. But in the meantime, we have to just live with it as it is. The vendors have done a lot to help with making it more accessible. Next slide. I seem to have run out of time.
Miss Campbell, about how much more time do you need to finish?
About another 5 minutes.
Okay, we can maybe
Okay, thank
do
you.
about 2. Can you?
We've been monitoring access to the county facilities and the Civic Center Trail Drive, Civic Center Drive Trail. We did a an accessibility survey of and gave a letter of support, and that one should be completed at the end of the summer. Sangre de Cristo Arts and Conference Center has an accessible festival Friday now, which is nice because before that, finding an accessible bathroom was quite a challenge. And they've changed the entrance from the top of the hill to where people go into the museum. Ground has been broken for new elevators, which is going to make the center not only more accessible, but safer because they'll be able to get little things like emergency facilities in. And Rita Gonzalez has been recognized for her contributions to the Sangre de Cristo Arts and Conference Center. Next slide. We finally succeeded in communicating with the new general manager, Andrea Weisenmeyer, on disability issues at the State Fair. As you probably know, the State Fair is a very old facility. They are planning to completely redo it, and that's going to be a very long-term project. But now that we are communicating with them, we will be able to have input. We met with CDOT road planners after a missed opportunity to make Purcell Highway 50 interchange more accessible. And while we haven't had any follow-up with them, it was nice to be able to make an initial contact. Next slide. There are 5 Salt Creek bus stops non-compliant, but they're being worked on. The committee provided input on several transit routes and bus stop changes and was able to work with the transit system to make them more accessible. And there are going to be some new lighting systems coming in, which are really very exciting, and we got to have input on that. Next slide. Committee members participated in the Pueblo County Mass Casualty exercise at the Dennis Mays Judicial Building and also in the Rawlings Library Emergency Planning Tour. We receive regular reports from the Health Department, generally on the status of various viruses, and from the Sheriff's Department of Emergency Management. Next. One member tried to attend a public meeting which was not accessible for people with mobility, hearing, or vision challenges. And that inspired us to begin work on brochure to give to organizations planning events to help them plan their event in the first place so that parking is available, signage to accessible restrooms, etc. is available, and how to use a microphone and how to make sure that visual presentations are understandable to people with visual impairments. Next slide. Our member Tura Cowan was interviewed on TV extensively about her mobility challenges. This is not the final slide, because the final slide actually has the link to Tura's interview with, was it Channel 11, Tura? Channel 5. And we are very excited about that, and I will be able to email you that link to that interview. It's a short interview. All TV interviews are short anymore. City is doing a good job of forwarding new members for the committee, and we're getting new members appointed. And of course, getting someone from the city to take minutes is an ongoing challenge, but so far we've been able to manage. Next slide.
Ms. Campbell, at this point, we need to move forward with giving the counselors time to field any questions. Being that you are connected to the city, I would also say that I would welcome that we invite you back to give us more of an update in maybe next month's work session. So at this time, counselors, I will open it up for questions. The chair will recognize Counselor Latino.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, the three most important things that we can possibly do as a city council to help move this program forward. What are the three most important things? Priority. Obviously, we can't do all of this. It's not gonna happen in a year or two.
No, this is not likely to happen completely. We are making considerable progress in getting more of the sidewalks and curb cuts in. But it's not the committee that's doing it, it's your Public Works Department. And one thing that we really need is feedback from the community as to what issues are. We see what we can see, but we need to know from other people what needs to be done. So if you can get your constituents to contact us when they have issues, that will help us to identify and fix them. And other than that, the city has been very accommodating transit and public works, and everybody's been working with us. And it's coming along. We've come a long way since 2004.
Thank
So
you.
how easy was it? How easy is it for you to get into this Memorial Hall? Or how difficult is it? Rita, what do you think, my dear?
For me, unless the elevators are down.
Thank you.
For me, it's very easy to get in and out. Unless the elevators are down, then it's an issue. And I'll give you an example. Like if I come to a concert here and the lights go down, I need an usher to literally carry my walker from the theater floor down the stairway so I can get out. And so one of the things I would recommend is the ushers have to crash course in assisting people to get out of the building during a fire.
So Sharon, can you get us a list of the top three priorities that we as a city can do? The top three priorities that you need.
We can do that.
Sidewalk access would be number one.
But obviously, we're not gonna be able to do the whole city all at once.
Right, obviously, but we are making steady progress at it. And that has been a top priority and continues to be a top priority. So that would be probably number one. Number two priority that we could really use more help from is getting more ADA committee members, and preferably younger ones, because some of us are hoping to retire from this job at some point. Rita?
I would say door openers to get into the public restrooms. There's not a door opener into the public restroom on this level. And so a person in a wheelchair or a person like me cannot use this bathroom.
I'm going to encourage you to contact the university and the community college and ask to talk to the student body presidents in those two places, Colorado State University, Pueblo, and Pueblo Community College, and also the high schools that we have here, because young people will get involved. Believe me, they will get involved.
Mm.
And I would encourage you to do that, because if you can get the student bodies involved, young people will help you. Believe me, they will help you. So I would encourage you to do that. Secondly, I would ask you to prioritize the top 2 or 3 things that we as a city can do in this area. The top 2 or 3 things. Obviously, we can't do it all,
Obviously.
okay? So
Okay, thank
think
you.
about that.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Counselor Latino. The Chair will recognize Counselor Boston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that report, guys. I really appreciate it. And I was happy to see the first thing you guys brought up was that Allen Hamel access ramp. I was actually just talking to Deputy Director today about how we can move forward with that project. And I actually did hear about that project from a constituent and somebody that needed access, and that's how that project got brought to fruition. So that just shows, you know, if you listen to the community on what their needs are, you'll find a need, because it's easy for us to think that everything's accessible, but until you're in that position where accessibility is not as easy, you don't know. So I just, I'm hopeful that that project gets done soon, and look forward to finding ways to help you on the rest of those projects.
We've been really, really pleased with how responsive the city and particularly Public Works has been. And those people work really hard. They squeeze the last penny out of every penny that they've got to work with, and they all deserve a raise.
Yeah, Andrew Hayes is stretched real thin, as much of his department, but thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. The Chair will recognize Counselor Hernandez.
Ms. Campbell, I just have a couple of questions. With regards to your meetings, they're the first and second Thursday, 1 to 3, and you said they're at the Rawlings Library now?
They're in the Rawlings Library now.
Okay, and which room did you say it was in?
It's usually the Friends of the Library room.
Can you tell me what you were told with regards to why Dutch Clark's restrooms could not be made accessible?
Oh, we did a tour of them, and it's purely a logistical issue. Short of bulldozing them and starting over, it's just not feasible.
And you looked at them yourself?
Pardon?
You looked at them yourself?
Yeah, the committee went and looked, and we had an architect and some other experts, and we all mutually agreed that not doable. Any more than you could really, there's only so much you can do with the really old facilities.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you for your report.
Counselors, any other questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you, ladies, for joining us and giving us this update. And Ms. Rita, I want to congratulate you on your award. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the community. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving forward with the council's agenda, I'd like to welcome up Miss Elisa Ball. All right, Miss Elisa, if you're ready, then we'll recognize you for your presentation for 15 minutes.
us here to present what our program is. And particularly Chairman, who actually got me on the agenda and put forth the proposal for the $3,000 we're requesting. So my name is Elissa Ball. I'm a retired forensic psychiatrist and currently a local artist and chairperson on the Creative Consortium of Pueblo. The Creative Consortium of Pueblo is what is sponsoring this program. My name is an art-based youth documentary empowerment program. And apparently we don't have control over the slides, so if we could have the next slide, whoever has control. No? Okay, great, thank you. So what is it we're wanting to do? We would like to have 100 of the city and counties marginalized and underserved children between the ages of 9 to 15 participate in this program, which is a 1-year-long program that is meant to develop mentorship and help kids that are underserved and don't feel like they belong, find their voice, explore identities, build a sense of belonging. And we're doing this through a great deal of collaboration. So our key partners include the Creative Consortium, of course, and the local filmmaker, Justin Bragar, and then 2 organizations in Aurora, the Aurora Escanwi Filmmakers Hub, and their partners, it's called DAVA, the Downtown Aurora Visual Arts Empowerment Program. They've been doing empowerment programs for 30 years. And so they're sort of the experts that we would like to teach us sort of how to start a program that sticks in Pueblo. I'm very proud of the number of collaborators we have and the partners that we have in Pueblo. So this slide shows that there are very many. The ones I'd like to just point out are both of the chambers and Health Solutions, which will be providing one of their staff to do some of the specialized training. Okay. So it's a 48-week program. Kids and 1 artist, 1 group facilitator, and 1 to many filmmakers will meet for 2 hours weekly outside of school hours. And they will center on an art form that the kids choose. So the kids will be organized based on the art that they're particularly interested in. They will go with that artist, and they will have their group activities as close to their neighborhoods as they can, because transportation is a problem in Pueblo. They will work on their art form, and all of them will be learning filmmaking skills and will create a film that showcases their lived experience and their experience of going through the program. The documentary will show at the Sangre de Cristo Art Center and will be on YouTube. Actually, it's already scheduled to go to a film festival next year in Denver, and will be on other film festivals. So the curriculum is that, 1, we want them to master the art form, not master meaning they become masters, but they learn what they're taught in terms of the art form they're interested in. That they do a lot of work on identity, on their own heritage, their own family, and what they have to be proud of. And we want them to learn life skills. That's where Health Solutions will come in. That they will be taught mindfulness, distress tolerance, emotion regulation, interpersonal effectiveness, and some things that are not so art-oriented, field trips, so they simply get to know Pueblo and are proud of the city they live in, and things like financial literacy and responsible use of technology and social media, which these days are pretty important. We intend to have a significant impact on the family. We want to include them in everything that we're doing. That one of the things, and this is the actual request of the city council, is that nutrition and finances are a major problem for this population. And we would like to have one group monthly dinner, lunch, depending on when they're meeting, but one major meal that will happen once a month. And then if we get enough money, it will then include the parents. It will definitely include the parents twice a year for special occasions. We'll be meeting at high risk times when the parents cannot be supervising, times after school and in the summer. We will be having contact with the families monthly. I mentioned the field trips. I think I went the wrong direction. Yep. So community impact. one of the things I want to say is, I'll talk about it when I go over the budget, is that we had our site visit with Caring for Colorado last week. And they were very enthusiastic regarding the community impact they believe that we would have. And were mostly worrying that they wouldn't give us enough money and wanted to make sure that we could still function. They didn't want to throw money at us that we then fail. And so the kinds of impact that I think we will have. What I didn't mention was the kids will take a 1-page validated psychological assessment that's simply called a mental health continuum at the beginning, middle, and the end. And this is a continuum that basically places kids into a languishing or flourishing state of mind and state of being, and then in between. It's been used with juvenile detention. It's been used in a lot of settings where the kids have not gone the way we would hope they would go. And it has shown that these sort of empowerment programs clearly demonstrate the ability to move a kid from the languishing into the flourishing category. So one, I think that that's a major impact for the city of Pueblo, that if you can get 100 kids to do it, it's 2 hours a week. You can get lots of different places that would be able to implement this program for fairly easily. And basically you're taking kids that we worry about going into gangs, going into ongoing poverty, basically of not doing well, in fact, entering Pueblo community as leaders, as people who take an active part in civic community. We will be teaching them things that will help them, especially the older kids, in work skills, that the filmmaking, those are things that they can apply to different areas. And the public legacy. One of the things that I personally see as a barrier to Pueblo's success is the image that we have, that there was a businessman overheard hearing at the convention center saying something about the economic ghetto of Pueblo, that was the attitude that he had from outside. And so I think that we're still not seen as the thriving place that we can be. And I think that Pueblo citizens also have a self-esteem problem in terms of recognizing the benefits and the beauty that we have. And the idea of a documentary is to get recognition for who we are and what we're doing. Okay, I was told that you guys are interested in budgets. So $272,000 is the cost of the program for a year. And all of that money, 80% of that money is money that either will returned, meaning it comes from foundations here in Pueblo, or it will be coming from outside and going into Pueblo. Most of it will be for the artists and the group assistants and the filmmakers. I mean, so most of it is personnel. Additionally, the art equipment, kids will have snacks each time, the meals, but the cost, I think, one, are pretty reasonable for Pueblo. The places, okay, so what we've got, we have applications into Jackson, Caring for Colorado, Rawlings, United Way, Paces, which is up in the Boulder University, and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. We've received $10,000 of the 50,000 we asked for the Jackson Foundation, and basically told if we show that we can collect the money, that we'll get more. And the Caring for Colorado, again, is very clearly giving us something. How much will depend on how many competitors I have, but I think we will get 35,000 at minimum. Rawlings Foundation, we've asked for 35,000, United Way of Pueblo, 30,000, and on and on. I think the biggest is the Robert Wood Johnson, which is the 354,000, which is an expansion of the program, but obviously is enough to cover it all. And we've collected nearly 3,000 in the equivalent of a GoFundMe, which is the Zeffy thing. Okay, potential funding. Again, we expect to get more from the Jackson. The Southern Colorado Community Foundation has 15,000 that we think we are likely to get a good supply from them in September. Arts and Society has up to 35,000, and we will be looking for others as they come up. So why are we doing this now? One, I think everyone knows that there's a mental health crisis, that Pueblo continues to be higher than the rest of the state for poverty, continues to be high for suicide attempts, and for chronic enmeshed poverty. And I think that this is a program that in fact can make changes in that area. And I already talked about improving our Pueblo identity and what we're asking for. So I know money is tight, and so I'm prepared for that, but we're asking for $3,000, which would pay for all of the monthly meals for the kids. And it would go halfway towards having all of the families there as well, meaning two partners. So that's a big contribution. Even more than that, I think what I would really like is we have your support for the marketing, that you have contacts with lots of people that I don't have contacts with, and you get the word out that there's a program that I think will be very helpful to the kids and the families. What I didn't say in terms of the assessment for the empowerment programs for kids that are already in trouble is it improves family adjustment. It improves school adjustment, including graduation rates. Oh, don't have anything. Okay, so I think the last part was simply a list of times. So the call for kids will go out at the end of this month. And so we have a flyer ready to go, applications that go with that, how to get there. The Creative Consortium of Pueblo is the site that will have that. So we would like your help. I will send it to, I guess it's Katie Hester, as soon as it's ready to go. And unfortunately, part of the financial thing is that most of the applications, they give us their answers May and June. We're starting in July. So we're prepared to start small and build as we get the money, because that's just the way we have to do it. So any questions you have, I would like to answer. And this actually, I did not introduce Laura Lisenby, who is our program manager for the program. So she's my backup.
I should add, when she mentioned, you know, we can start small and grow from there. We have a number of artists, applicants and group assistant applicants that have said, I don't care if you pay me. We need to do this. We'll do it for free.
And actually, let's say, and most of them said, we will do it for free until you can pay us. So, yes, but that's true. There are many people that are feeling very enthused, but I think they warrant pay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ball. I will open up now, time now for counselors to field questions. I'll begin with Counselor Boston and then move to Counselor Latino. So Counselor Boston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you kind of answered my own question. I was just going to ask if you'd taken the time to reach out to Katie Hester for a sponsorship request. Typically, when these kind of issues or ideas are presented to us, we usually go through our admin, and a sponsorship is brought forth through council for something such as this. So I was just making sure you reached out to her, and I was just confused
Yes.
on the process of if you knew.
Yeah, she has been unbelievably helpful. So I don't know her, but I like her.
She's right there.
You've been wonderful.
She's awesome.
She is awesome.
Sweet. Okay, that's all I was gonna ask.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Latino?
My question has to do with, are you reaching out to the schools?
Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. I have to say, District 60 back in December had said they were very enthusiastic and we'd sign an MOU. Then all the hub stuff changed and I think bureaucracy intervened and we're still working without the MOU. They had asked me not to go directly to the schools until we had the MOU. We've ignored that most recently because it's obvious we're not going to have one anytime soon. So we're now contacting the schools directly through teachers and principals.
And you're working with District 70 as well?
Yes, we were trying very hard.
And what about the local youth organizations
Okay.
in the community?
So the
Like
Boys and Girls Club, the Boys and Girls Club is working with us. And that's where I think we anticipate getting a lot of things, a lot of our applicants. We're working with Avondale in terms of getting that population. I think I interrupted you. What were you saying with the other youth?
You're fine. And the other question I have is, we also have other organizations like YWCA, YMCA. There's various, we, you know, on the east side, we have the Lucero Library, and we have a program going over there right now with Mark Salazar. Are you familiar with Mark? Have you met Mark?
I know, yes, and we've got places to do the artwork through working with the Lucero Library, El Centro del Quinto
Centro de
Sol.
Quinta Sol.
So
Yes.
we will be there. We will be at Rawlings. I believe Barkman. I mean, so we have worked out lots of locations. So the locations are not a problem. People have been very generous in helping us with locations where the artists can work.
See, there's a lot of organizations asking for money.
I know.
And obviously, we don't have that kind of money in the city at this point in time. Okay, so we obviously need a strategic plan, goals, objectives, et cetera, et cetera. At least that's what I'm looking for.
We have all of that. I've written so many grants, I'm blue in the face with that, and they ask for all those things. So I'm happy to do that. I think at this point, I understand the budget. I understand that's where I'm emphasizing marketing would be really helpful to us. And
Yep.
any of those places that I don't know, I would very much appreciate an email of what are the kids' locations that I haven't found.
Well, my concerns obviously are my district, but the whole city in general. You know, we all have districts, but except for the at-large, and they have the whole city. But basically, as council individuals and representatives, we're concerned about this whole entire city.
Right.
And when it comes to youth, young people, that's the most important thing to me as an individual. Okay.
I agree.
Okay, and in terms of the east side and El Centro de Quinta Sol and the Lucero Library, and then we have the Barkman Library as well. You know, there are things that are going on, and one of the gentlemen I just mentioned, Mark Salazar, who does a lot of things with the
Yes.
young people at the Lucero Library, and he has worked also at the El Centro de Quinta Sol.
Yeah.
But again, and then the Boys and Girls Club. So if there's a plan to do those kinds of things, obviously you're not gonna be able to reach everybody, and you're not gonna be able to, the city itself doesn't have that kind of money to be taking care of all the organizations that exist in the city that relate to working with individuals or individual groups. And I'm gonna be approaching the District 60 myself in the next few weeks or month.
You're gonna be, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be approaching them about some things in the next month or so.
And yeah, so I think that they want to be helpful, and bureaucracy has intervened. I think District 70 has also had problems that have intervened in terms of easy access, but we are working on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The chair will now recognize Councilor Hernandez.
I just have two questions. With the age group of 9 to 15, what do you anticipate
Okay.
your retention? Because it's a 48-week program.
Okay, so there's research that has been repeated that actually having that age range, the little kids perform because the big kids, they want to be like the big kids, and the big kids actually learn and take on empathy and group skills that I think are missing these days, quite honestly. And so we will have some groups that are the full age. We'll have some that are broken down 9 to 11, 11 to 15, depending on what seems to be works. One of the things we had hoped for was initially we'd been promised access to teachers so that we could sort of say with this particular child work well in that in this category or that category. We've struggled with that. So I think we hope to get that down. But so that's the rationale for the 9 to 15. And we'll work with however it works. We'll change the organization, change the organization of the kids if it doesn't work out well.
Okay. And the final question I had was, you're only asking for $3,000
Yes.
total for the year?
From you guys. Yep. I
Okay.
was told that be realistic.
Yeah, that's pretty realistic.
So, and that really would pay for the entire budget for the food for the kids.
Awesome.
And that would be I mean, I think being able to say that the city did that would be a very positive thing for the city council.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Counselors, I just wanted to take a minute to clarify. I believe the ask for the $3,000 is coming from out of our council contingency funds. Dr. Ball, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind fielding a question. Could you tell us a little bit about, because dialectical behavioral therapy,
Mhm.
DBT is, can you explain a little bit of it's like evidence-based
Yes, okay.
efficacy for
Absolutely.
this particular population that you're trying to serve in Pueblo?
Absolutely. Then this is my bailiwick. So dialectical behavioral therapy is the most validated sort of life skills program that started for adult women, borderline personality disorder, has then gone to every difficult to treat population, adults, and they have written a separate program for school kids. And it's been implemented in many schools. I actually taught it at one point at Goodnight many years ago. What it's done, and actually, so I worked at the state hospital taking care of the people like this who grew up without any services and did bad things. And they then come back in the community and say, nobody in the community knows these skills. We see these things going on where people aren't able to really talk to each other, resolve things. So they are skills that are very useful. And there's extensive research. Marsha Linehan is a well-known figure, and most of the mental health centers have picked up the program and are teaching it.
Thank you. And part of what your presentation, one of the things that you mentioned is that there is a way that you will be collecting data
Yes.
to say like, because we've invested in this program, those who didn't versus those who did, you will be doing some evidence or data collecting.
We will
that-
be doing data collection. It is not a
Re-
double-blind study. I mean, so we don't have the money to do it in that way where you go in front of a investigational review board. But yes, we will be collecting data. We'll be collecting surveys also in terms of what the families are seeing. So we will have data to report.
Perfect. All right. The chair will recognize Counselor Dante.
Yes. So I was wondering if you're looking towards the future that you could apply to CSAC?
We missed the deadline and then I went and looked. CSAC doesn't accept applications for people that use a fiscal agent. And we have a fiscal agent, and so we're not eligible.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mhm. The chair will recognize Counselor Boston.
That made me just think of another question. Are you guys a nonprofit? Or
We are an entirely volunteer organization. We started basically we come from Jim Richardson left, and we saw Andy Sanchez as a local person that the artists could bond with and get him to work with the community. What we have found is that it is artists don't like the idea of a board and bylaws. And so we have kept it entirely voluntary. Everybody can participate, everybody can attend. And so we have chosen not to pursue a nonprofit status. And that's why we have a fiscal sponsor.
then I heard you mention Andy's name. Is this a branch off of like a Songbird Degree?
No, okay, so
project, or-
the Creative Consortium of Pueblo includes all of the galleries, including, Andy is one of the chairs, were elected. It includes basically any artist in Pueblo who would like to see artists do better and see the economy of Pueblo grow through art.
Okay. Any other questions, counselors? Seeing none, we will close this section. Thank you, Dr. Ball. Thank you for coming down. We appreciate you coming down and tell us about this.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome. Most welcome. Moving forward with the counselor's agenda, I would like to welcome Kevin Keilbuck and Shannon Adler with Southern Colorado Economic Development District.
Good evening, Mayor, Chief of Staff, City Team, Counselors. I know most of the folks in this room, but not everyone. My name is Kevin Keilbach. Typically when I'm hanging out in the chamber, I have my insurance and risk management hat on for Hub International. Tonight I've got a different hat on, and that is with Southern Colorado Economic Development District. I'm the board chair. And with me is Shannon Alder. She is our SCED manager and amazingly talented gal that we've been fortunate to pull into the fold recently to help us run Southern Colorado Economic Development District, also known as SCED. Thank you for pulling up the presentation. If you can flip through that, I'll spend about the first 5 or 6 minutes just giving a little background on who SCED is. I know some of you are familiar with SCED, some of you may not be, and purpose here is to provide a little background on who we are, what we do, what the value is to Pueblo and the region that we serve, and then also to engage you all and glean some feedback on a very important project that we are heading up at the moment. So we'll frame all of that out for you.
Excuse me, Mr. Keilbuck, I just wanted to say that we have about 15 minutes for your presentation.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you for that heads up.
No problem. Thank you.
So talked a little bit about some of these points. Who is SCED? If you remember nothing else tonight, I want you to burn this visual onto your frontal lobe. We are the gateway to federal funds for our 13 county region. We are one of a number of economic development districts endorsed by the EDA through the federal sources. And we unlock federal funds for our region. In order to be an economic development district through the EDA, you have to serve a distressed region. And there's no question, I realize, in this room about the fact that much of Southeast Colorado is very much economically distressed. The green section on this map is our 13 counties for SCED. The other sections are other economic development districts also serving regions that have at least one county defined as economically distressed. And again, we are required entity for folks in this green region to apply for and secure federal funding. They can't go directly to the federal government. They need to use an intermediary, and we, for our region, are that intermediary. So again, we are the gateway to federal funds for this region. Here's a quick list of the counties involved. We don't need to get through that one by one. If you're looking at kind of what the actual definition is for an EDD, multi-jurisdictional entity commonly composed of multiple counties. That's certainly how we are arranged. We lead locally based, regionally driven economic development planning. So within the region, yeah, I realize it's fairly intuitive that each individual county can only do so much when you're trying to pool regional strategy together. And so consider us as kind of the facilitator. We bring collaboration, we bring process, we bring a single consolidated voice to this region. And we do that through a very calculated approach, which Shannon will share with you all shortly. And that's called our Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, which is a 5-year economic development plan required by the EDA for us to secure and maintain our status, and required for folks within our 13 county region to apply for federal funds. The topics that they are applying for need to be incorporated into this comprehensive economic development strategy, also known as CEDS. And so we're in the middle of that 5-year update right now, and it's a super exciting time. And this is an amazing process. Value. So this is just some quick figures, and I'll pass the baton here in a moment. But through EDA and our member dues from the 13 counties, we charge 30 cents per resident to each of the counties. Pueblo County, of course, being the largest by far. But the counties pay dues for us to facilitate this engagement for them and offer the services that SCED offers. And with that $150,000 a year, we are a massive multiplier. If you look back over a 9-year period, or look forward for the next 9-year period, what you can expect through SCED is federal funding deployed in our communities of about 10 to 20 million. Private investment on top of that, which is a little bit more, even doubles that, and a total economic impact between $25 and $45 million. So these are not incidental projects. These are significant projects, significant funding that really does amazing things, creates jobs, and really drives value within the community. When this region does well, Pueblo does well. When Pueblo does well, this region does well. So we're all in this together. Here's some of the awards that have been delivered through SCED over recent years. This is one just that happened in the last month and a half. I think you all recognize that's the Irby Jeweler building. The Concilias are involved. They redid the whole facade. Amazing project. This was partially assisted by a $30,000 grant that SCED helped facilitate. Sangre de Cristo Community Care, we're going to deliver an $18,000 check to them in the coming week or two for a really cool training program that they are delivering. The list goes on. Walter's Brewery has received some funds. The Gold Dust Saloon, Old Town Carriage House, a lot of cool stuff in downtown to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars just in the recent 6 or 12 months. We just deployed over the last month about $200,000 throughout this region for other projects between $10,000 and $20,000 each. So cool stuff. I'm going to pass the baton. Hopefully that gives you a little foundational background on who we are. But Shannon.
Hello, thanks for having us this evening. Kevin mentioned that we are embarking on what we call the CEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. It's something that we update and upgrade every 5 years and pass on to the EDA to show that we do have a strategy for the region and where we're wanting to go. So during this time, we do a lot of public outreach. We want public input. We want to know what the communities need, what they're struggling with. And of course, with Kevin had shown the map, there's a great deal of variety in our region. We have some that are high in tourism, some that are high in agriculture, but we all have a common need. And that's that we need money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And so by providing a very strong CEDS or strategy to the EDA, we're showing that we have the capacity to handle the federal funds and that we have a basis for applying for those grants. So it's very important that we get accurate feedback from the communities, but we get thorough feedback from the communities so that we build a good strategy moving forward. So as we embark on this, we have meetings that we're holding, just trying to get the feedback from the communities. And we will be setting up one for the Pueblo area the first week of May. We don't have a definite time on that one yet, but we will very soon. So what we're asking from you is, how can you give us input? How can we garner that from you and glean that from you? Who would you recommend we speak to? What contacts should we make in order to really get accurate, a really accurate picture of what the city of Pueblo is looking at, incorporate that into the county and then into our region? So we're not asking for money. We're just asking for input. And so I'll turn that back over to Kevin. And like I said, we just want to hear and we need to know what to put in our strategy.
Yeah, so thanks, Shannon. Well framed. So for the upcoming community feedback meeting, we'll loop the city of Pueblo in. We'll make sure that you all are aware of that. We would invite you certainly to show up as available. But perhaps tonight, if there's folks within the city, either departments or politically important folks that you would say, hey, I would definitely want this person in that room to provide feedback on Pueblo County as we reframe our 5-year economic development strategy and what's important for this community. So we'll invite that in a moment. As far as one other just data point I'd like to provide, and that is our board members that are from Pueblo, because I know most of you probably know most, if not all of these folks. So in addition to myself, Terry Hart is on our board. Caroline Tranny is on our board. Jane Frazier is on our board. Laura Stalford is on our board. And I'm missing one or two. Let's see here. Oh, Commissioner Lucero is on our board as well. So a great group of folks. And we're certainly honored and privileged to help drive this project of CEDS forward for our region. And also certainly me personally happy to represent Pueblo as chair of this amazing group. So with that, certainly questions that you have, but also I invite feedback on who might be interested in or who you would suggest we reach out to for community involvement and feedback in our upcoming meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Kralbeck. It seems like at this point, it's a good time to open up for questions. The chair will recognize Councilor Dante, and then we'll move to Councilor Gomez.
Thank you for the presentation. What I would like to know is what kind of projects are you able to do and what the process is, because I didn't see any of that in the presentation.
Yeah, so I'll take a swing and then Shannon certainly by your feedback. The projects are very diverse. For example, one of the projects that we helped spearhead was a broadband deployment within Southeast Colorado. This was head up by a group of very qualified broadband consultants, and the project was funded through some COVID funding that allotted to about $20 million into Southeast Colorado to wire hookup, provide broadband access to about 3,000 households that didn't have it. This is in very rural parts of our county, but mostly out east on the plains. So that's one example of a very large project. About $20 million plus came through because of SCED, but a lot of them are infrastructure, a lot of them are job retention, a lot of them are job creation. For example, incubator type projects where we'll provide a community and a group of advocates with some funding to start enhancing business development opportunities within a community. So really, it's very diverse and across the board.
And so what's the process? Do they fill out an application? And is there a certain time limit on when they can complete that application, things like that?
Well, so this is all about relationship. This is about, yes, we have a task of finishing the SEDS, the strategy, but in that process and over the next few months, the goal is to really understand what we're looking for. And we're going to be building up a list of asks that each county needs. And then we're going to be working with the EDA to see what grants are out there. And so at that point, we would then develop that application. Maybe it's regional, maybe it's just local. But that's why the relationship starts with this SEDS that we're doing and really builds from there. We get to know who knows what in the counties. We know who to talk to. They'll tell us their needs. We'll be listening to what the EDA is offering. And we just really work back and forth. And then each process usually starts with an application. And that's something that we would help write. And if there's something awarded, we can help manage that and so forth. But all of the projects really come through relationship of if we don't know what everyone needs, then we don't know what to look for and listen for. And so we also handle state projects and grants as well. But as Kevin said, we're actually the gateway for the federals. So if you're looking for something through the EDA, you're going to have access to the SEDS, and we want you to have input into the SEDS. So relationship is how this works.
Okay. Thank you for all that information. Appreciate it.
Councilor Gomez?
Yeah, how many current volunteers do you have right now, or is that you're just the makeup? But do you have volunteers on another page of this, or you just have the main officers for this group for SCED?
So our volunteers are really our board members, and we've
Okay.
got 30
How many
plus,
board members you have?
about 31 right now.
30.
In fact, Marissa Stoller was on our board. So that's another great question for you guys to ponder, is if you have another representative, from city that would be a great replacement for her, we would entertain that as well.
Well, I'm going to reach out and try to be selfish as hell as I can, because the districts in Pueblo and the city, they're uniquely different from each other. Some are more economically challenged than others. Others have, the areas that are developed by each district, districts 1, 2, district 3. I'm hoping that you will kind of gear this thing into helping the less low income districts. And I'd love to have a SCED buddy is what I would like that would work with me. I mean, you're looking at a staff of me. That's it. Don't look for help from anybody else, but I would love to work with somebody like you guys and see if we can look at my district, and maybe if I do this right, I can get the next district to say, hey, look what Gomez is getting done. I'm retired. I have some time, and I'd like to really develop this. So my district, which is probably the poorest out of all of them, gets the help that I think they need on a priority basis. Does that make sense?
We absolutely invite that. So
Because I only have Miles Lucero from the county that's
you
on
got
there.
it. Yes,
Okay. But if that's something we could work, I'll come see you for sure now.
that'd be great.
I'm gonna bug you. All right.
I'll be
thanks.
your buddy.
All right, thank you.
Counselors, any other questions to field for our guests? Nope.
Perfect. Take a picture. Thank you.
That's today. Appreciate your time. All right. Up next on the council's agenda, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ralph Armijo and his
Just make sure I have this going the right way.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, city council members, mayor's office and staff. We
Excuse me,
appreciate the opportunity.
Mr. Armijo, we're doing.
Use that one.
Talk really loud.
You, Brett. Mr. Armijo, thank you so much as we get settled here.
Sure.
We'll move forward with your presentation. I will acknowledge you for your presentation. It looks like they have you here for 15 minutes.
Okay,
Thank you.
and with me is Frank Bustamante, who's one of our vice presidents of Portico Energy and responsible for basically technical operations.
Yes.
Yes, Michael.
I'm sorry? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can get closer if that helps.
It does.
Better? Okay, well, thank you. Before I actually get started in our presentation here, we're all about creating jobs for Pueblo. And I think an important thing for you to understand is that both Frank and I are Pueblo natives. We both reside in the Denver area, but we are committed to trying to make a difference in Pueblo. This is where we're from. Looks like this thing moved forward. This is where we both grew up. This is where our family is, a multi-generational family that's from here. We're both graduates from East High School. So we understand the city. We both have family here. This is a project that, quite frankly, we're evaluating. We want this to be the place to be the flagship operation. And I'll explain what all that means to you. So with that, really Portico Energy is basically an advanced manufacturing that is going to bring 100+ jobs into the Pueblo marketplace. And I'll explain what that is. So the 100+ jobs, direct jobs, really include the average between $60,000 and $70,000 per year. So these are high-paying jobs. You can see the information there. That is the kind of jobs that we would be creating in the marketplace, and they're significant. And we've got support, and we've had discussions with the universities, CSU Pueblo, as well as Pueblo Community College, to be able to help support us in either existing people from the current skill and or for training new employees. So this is real manufacturing with real jobs that are high paying. So that is our objective. That's what we want to bring into Pueblo. So let's see if we can move this thing forward. There we go. So what's the problem that we are addressing? The problem is both for Pueblo and in the US. And basically what we are doing is we are bringing a technology called pyrolysis into this state in this country. Our objective is to take plastics and recycle those into reusable products, primarily oil. So the problem is significant. Most of the plastics that we see today go right to the landfill and stay there for 1,000 years. Our objective is to make a difference in that process. Sorry for that. We're a little moving just a little
You gotta point it this way.
that way, going the wrong direction. There. Try again. You'll do it? Okay. That would be fine. So next slide, please. So again, our solution is advanced manufacturing. And what we're not incineration, we're not recycling. We are really all about providing a new thermochemical technology that's non-toxic to be able to recycle this plastic. Okay. You want me to control it? You want? I can control now? Okay. So it's really important to understand that again, there's no combustion, there's no flame. This is really classified as an advanced manufacturing, and it really is creating industrial products for use on not only a U.S. basis, but on a global basis. So how this technology works is really a relatively simple process. We're taking feedstock, which is the non-recyclable plastic that exists today in our landfills. And we're able to take that, put into what was called a reactor. Again, that doesn't produce emissions. It is carbon, light modules. It meets all of the continuous engineering monitoring solutions that are required to meet federal and state and requirements. It produces a condensation, and that condensation turns into either oil or condensation that's not reusable, which is about 5%. And it goes into gases that we reuse to power the next iteration of the plant. So it's the end product oil is sold to different industrial buyers throughout the US and throughout the world. So this is a proven technology. It's an industrial scale. This is not a pilot project. It's an operating facility that has continuous operations in Portugal and also in Abu Dhabi. There's about 7 other locations throughout the Europe and the Middle East that are now in process of putting this in place. We have been working with the manufacturer, and I'll speak more to who the individuals in the company is here in a minute. That is a strategic partner with us. Somebody that we have a relationship that goes back, at least with Frank, over 10 years, and he's got over 30 years in the industry of creating solutions for chemical manufacturing, safe, reliable systems across the world. So that's who that's where our technology is coming from. We are going to be implementing that. It's been operational again since 2024 on a continual basis. It comes to us on skids, and so it's about a 6-month shipping cycle. We install it. They come into our environment, helping putting it together with their engineers and training for the people involved in the Pueblo community. So if you look at this drawing, it does represent what we ultimately would see the Pueblo facility to consist of. And it would be producing about 240 tons per day of processing capacity. It would create, or we would utilize and process about 80,000 metric tons of plastic a year. And we would be creating 48,000 metric tons of usable output in the terms of oil. It takes about 6 months for delivery of the product and approximately 60 to 90 days to get it implemented and into production. So the way that the products and the revenue streams work is the pyrolysis technology utilizes of the product that comes in, the plastic, is utilized about 60 to 70% of it. The only plastic that is not appropriate for our system is the PVC piping. And there's technical terms for all the different kinds of plastic. But generally speaking, that's the one that doesn't process through the system. All of the plastic is very viable source for us. From that would create approximately $38.9 million per year when we're in full production by year 3. And then we have additional revenue potential streams that would come from gate fees. A lot of the waste right now is just taken to landfill. Some people have to pay to get it disposed of, et cetera. So it's a potential additional income. And then there's also about 5% of the gas, the carbons would be in a carbon black, which is used for pavement of streets, filters, et cetera. So we have another additional revenue stream that's there. Those additional revenue streams are not included in the approximately $39 million of revenue per year. So the processed gas I talked about, that's the gas that does not produce either the oil or the carbon black, but that is energy that's produced that stays internally that powers our plant going forward, which reduces the amount of energy required in other resources to power the plant. So it's a pretty full circular environment that uses from end to end the full circular use of all the resources. So when you look at the financial highlights of what we're asking and proposing and suggesting that you consider is a total investment of about $15.1 million, a grant of $4 million based on job creation, a debt structure, which is somewhat, I believe, new to the public community, but done frequently throughout the different cities throughout the US, that we pay back at a 6% interest rate. We have a debt recovery rate that's a 5.8 plus multiple, and we expect to be breaking even in year 2. So it's a very significant financial operation. Our EBITDA runs at about 43%. So that does just 2 things to me as an individual trying to make a difference here. One is it reduces the risk of payment, but also the more successful we are in Pueblo, in our community, the more we can give back to this environment, to the various projects, et cetera. That's why we're here. So when you look at the economic and environmental benefits to Pueblo and Colorado and beyond, think of this, we're not a landfill. We are an advanced manufacturing facility. We have no combustion issues, no flames, no fumes, no emissions, and it's controlled in a very significant way on a daily process as we produce our products. So it's a significant change for the community. It's a significant change for the US and on a worldwide basis to be able to utilize this technology as we move forward into the next generation of recycling, our waste products. So why Pueblo? I think I stated earlier, probably the most important reason that we're here is because we're natives. We grew up here, our family's here. We want to be able to bring these jobs to Pueblo. We want to bring this technology to Pueblo. We have the rail infrastructure, we have the workforce, we have the economic profile here, we have the land available. We want to make this our first facility as our national anchor for all the future plants that we will be implementing throughout the United States. And our first target will be in the Southwest, in the Southwestern 6 states. That's where we will begin to start our projects, and we have the ability to take it on a national basis. But we want this to be our flagship. And we also understand, growing up here, seeing what's happened, we are both from the East Side. When we drive through the East Side today, it kind of brings tears to us. My wife is from there. Both of our families grew up on the East Side. it just brings tears to our eyes to see what's happened. When we talk to people living in Denver, fortunate to be able to go to school at Colorado College after graduating from East High School, anybody north looks at us as a stepchild. And for a lot of different reasons, some valid and some not so valid. But the reality is there is a community need. And if we're able to help with the unemployment rate, be able to bring in 100+ jobs that are $60,000 to $70,000 average jobs per payroll per job, it can be transformative. It can make a difference. And I think because we are also driven by a management team that supports Frank and I wanted to bring this here, we are going to do everything we can to make a difference in this community. So that's really our priority as a #1 facility. So one of the things that as people misunderstand the technology in the past is that we have some context and a pathway for the Colorado regulatory process. In 2021, Texas was the first state to really have a US precedent to state that this was advanced manufacturing. 25 states immediately followed the following year. In Colorado in 2024, Governor Polis vetoed a bill that restricted pyrolysis into this state. He vetoed that, which is a critical positive signal because he was citing the need for more supportive innovation in our energy creation. So the last thing I would say here is that the Colorado framework distinguishes from combustion and thermal conversion. So we have case studies, we have a strategy that makes sense, we have case studies that are being supported, and we have a path to go forward. Our ask is $4 million grant with the $11.1 million loan, as we've stated, with the ability to pay it back with this strong ability. I've been asked several times by some of you who I've talked to individually, so what's your risk mitigation here? What is our security? And it comes in multiple forms. A senior lien against all the assets, an advisory board position to be able to observe our operations and our financial status, our construction bond, a deed of trust. We have the ability for our debt service rate is significantly higher than what's average. Average is about 1.25 times. Ours is over 5.8. So, and the physical reality is we're not going to go anywhere else. We're going to bring equipment, facilities, people into this community that's not going to go anywhere else. Probably the biggest risk mitigator are this team that we've put together. My experience has been, I have been able to, fortunately in my career, working for Fortune 500 or Fortune 50 companies for 18 years, starting my first company with 6 startups now, 1 going public, going from 2 employees to 300, joint ventures, sales of companies to Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, my greatest strength is not my knowledge of this, it's my ability to put together a team that's very successful. Bob Landvik, our Chief Operating Officer, has a significant experience, and he was the Senior Vice President of Operations for Sun Microsystems, a multi-billion-dollar company, and responsible for international sales. We have Jose Marquez, who is the developer and founder of the company that makes the equipment, who's been in this business for over 30 years in making various chemical production facilities.
Mr. Armijo, at this
Yes.
point, we need to give you just like 1 minute or 2 to wrap up your presentation, and then we'll need to move into comment.
I am done. The only last thing I would say here is Chuck Fryer has managed, as our plant manager, has managed multiple plants within the 4-state area in Colorado, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. We're at a decision point, 100+ jobs, clean manufacturing, proven technology, exclusive positioning as a flagship facility in the US, and we have strong economics to support it.
Thank
With
you.
that, take any questions.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will now open up time for questions from the council. I will begin with Councilor Latino.
Thank you. Ralph, you and I have spoken and we've met, and obviously it's something that's important to us as a community to bring jobs. And what you're talking about, you have a vested interest in this community. You were raised here and you were raised here. And that's important. And you've done well with your careers. And you're now in the northern part of the state, in the largest city in the state, and you're wanting to come to our community. And basically, is my understanding and with our conversations that you and I have had in a meeting, that this would go, the site itself that has been selected. Is that correct? Do you have a site in mind?
Yes, in the process of the timeframe that it's taken to get to a decision, that site may or may not be available today. But what's required is probably 10 acres. Ideally, we'd have a rail spur, and we could either use an existing building and or build a framework for it. So it's possible. It just depends on when we're able to start the process. The building may or may not be available, but we've reviewed multiple sites within the city that have been provided to us, and some of them would be acceptable.
Are the sites are they strategically located?
Yes.
Where you're close to a rail spur, you're close to transportation.
Yes, so far, all those sites that we have seen that we have visibility to, and we don't know if we have visibility to all of the sites that the city has access to. But most of those, actually, all of those to date are in the airport industrial.
Perfect. Obviously, again, you and I have spoken about this at length, and I'm very much in support of this. It's bringing jobs. It's bringing a notice to this community. As we met earlier with some other individuals that are wanting to do the same thing. And so Pueblo has potential. There's no question about it. And we need to make sure that potential is recognized and that potential is supported. So going forward, you have my support.
Thank you, Mr. Latino.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Counselor. The chair will recognize Counselor Boston.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for this presentation. I think at face value, this seems like it could be potentially a good thing for the community, jobs, good wages. My first question that I have is, what brought you to a work session to present this?
I've been working on and off with different members of the city, previous city council members, et cetera, for 18 months,
Okay.
including Petco. I never even had an opportunity to speak formally to anybody at Petco other than 2 people, but never to anyone else. So I started working with, when the new council members were brought to the table, I just talked about what our situation is. We have a requirement to move our business forward, and it's either going to be in Pueblo or it's going to be somewhere else. Our desire is to have it here. So in talking to Selena, Ms. Gomez, recently, that's how we got to this schedule.
Okay.
Quite honestly, the process of 18 months, we couldn't go through again.
Understandable
We would
on
have to
that.
Go somewhere else.
There's a reason we're not contracted with them anymore. There is a new process to go through though, where we kind of have a committee put together specifically for access to the, I'm assuming half-cent sales tax fund is what you're
That's
trying to
correct.
get access to.
Yes.
It's being managed currently through Advanced Pueblo. And that's kind of a committee that, you know, gets proper information from people asking for it, money from the fund. You know, it kind of vets certain questions, financials, make sure you're eligible even with your request. Typically loans aren't something that is eligible. Typically a random figure thrown out in the sky isn't a eligible request. It's usually calculated based on a formula, based on jobs and wages and things like that. So I just think it might be a better setting for you to maybe go through that vetting process and maybe put that application in to maybe discuss with that committee to see what potentially what is a potential plan that we could pursue going forward,
Yeah.
and then kind of go from there.
So I would, if I could respond.
Yeah.
So yes, I have submitted an application. Our request is not random. It's based on a very specific, detailed financial pro forma, based on existing operations of this kind of facility. So it's not random. It's not, we didn't start this thought process now. That committee didn't exist before, as I was going through this process. And we have a decision to make, as I said in my last slide. We're at a decision point. We're either going to be able to be in Pueblo and go through a process that can make a decision relatively quickly or not. And we respect your process. We do, but there's only a certain amount of time that we have to make a decision on our side. And so if we fit that time frame in that module, and like I said, it's not a random request. And yes, we know that some of this is a little bit different than what we usually do, but we will be paying back to the city over a period of time far more than we get out of the city. That does not even include, we talked about the net present value that was there of over $100 million back into the city economy. So there's a lot of thought, a lot of process, no randomness in anything we put in front of you. That leadership committee, that leadership board that we have, that team is as experienced as any business that you would see in the United States. And they have been involved in multiple businesses over many, many years. So that's why we're bringing it through this process, because a decision has to be made, in our opinion.
And I'm not discrediting your idea, your logic, or I'm not saying anything's random. I'm just saying, you know, we have a responsibility as well with the taxpayer fund that we have to do due diligence. You know, if you need an answer by the end of the month, I can guarantee you, you're not going to get that.
Yes.
So, and I understand as a businessman, you guys have timeframes and quotas to meet, but we also have a process and a fiduciary responsibility.
Absolutely, and I respect that. And I did not say we needed an answer by the end of the month.
I know, I'm just throwing.
And I didn't,
Throwing out
we had
hypotheticals.
random numbers. I'm just responding to your comments. And so it's not random. It's not by the end of the month. It's our proposal.
Councilor Boston, I just wanted to respond to your question. I think it was a good question, and you know, it's new in a learning curve. I didn't realize the process of the application, and I will own that I might have set Mr. Armijo the wrong direction, but I will say that I talked to Mayor Graham about this, and we've course corrected, where moving forward, we'll request that we, instead of this process, we can refer them to the referral process to be vetted. It was just kind of like an oopsie.
Yeah, and also to be clear, I did talk to Mr. Hayes, and he did explain that to me, Andrew Hayes, that this is not the normal current process that's being used. As a result of that, I did submit the application. It is in the presence of the committee. And, you know, we respect what the city has to do.
The chair will recognize Councilor Hernandez.
Good evening, guys. Listen, I just have a couple of questions. On the 100+ jobs, your wage range was 60 to 70,000. Does that include the CEO and the plant manager? So I just kind of wanted to get an idea of the wage range between one of your hourly employees and the top of the company.
The lowest monthly salary we have for the lowest level employees, about $4,500 a month.
Excuse me?
$4,500 a month. That's the lowest price that we have of any employee or pay wage. Our plant manager is the highest wage.
Right.
These are all employees that are on site in Pueblo.
Okay.
And it does not include the executive staff.
Okay, thank you.
Any of that. And it's also doesn't include the 30% on top of that of benefits and taxes that we would add on top of those wages.
Thank you. I
So that's the
appreciate
net amount.
Your plant size and your plans for growing the company or the plant size. Do you have any, can you share us a little bit of information on that for us?
Sure, and Frank may want to add a little bit to this as well, since he's probably the one who has the most knowledge of plant sites. But let me just say, it's probably a minimum of 10 acres. And the building itself is probably about a minimum of 70,000 square feet. That would either find a current building and or build one. We would expect an average ideal plant, if you will, is about 120 million pounds of production a day. We're projecting 240 because we think on that 10+ acres we can have basically essentially what would be looked at as like two plants. And the only limitation we have to making that larger is once we identify and get the feedstock, which is the plastic that we would get. That's why the rail spur is important to bring it in by rail. It can come in by truck as well. But probably more important, the impact is when we ship it out. And right now that's going to be shipped currently to port cities. We have for every barrel of oil or pound of oil that we create, we already have a buyer. So we have guaranteed buyers for everything that we can produce. Those buyers, there's one or two in the US and there's multiple throughout the international stage. So much of what we might be producing, we'd like it to stay in the US, but right now with the current buyers, we may be shipping it from Houston to offshore, but already sold.
Thank you. I think that once you get in front of the committee, then we'll have some additional questions for you. Hopefully you'll get a chance to have a slight presentation or short presentation before that committee as well. Two of us are here already, so we've already heard the long version.
And we would welcome that. Okay. We would welcome that very much. We've been trying to do that for almost 18 months.
Thank you, Mr. Armijo.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So I appreciate the time.
The chair will recognize Councilor Dante.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do some research.
Sure, absolutely.
And so when I Googled your company, I didn't find it. And when I Googled Portugal with your company name, did not find it. The only thing I found was that you had filed with Secretary of State. You're in good standings with the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why I'm not finding websites?
Yes, it's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. 18 months ago when we started this, we were Glycerin Solutions and we were going to build a glycerin plant here. And one of the things that we said 18 months ago is that when we start with our first product, which is going to be USP glycerin or medical grade glycerin, we have multiple products that we have the ability to create, which included sustainable aviation fuel and other things. Well, these other things during this 18 months, the other thing that became prevalent was this ability to create and reuse energy from waste plastic into oil. And we already had a long-term relationship with the manufacturer. It was the same manufacturer who had the equipment that was going to build the glycerin solution and who has been building solutions for almost 30 years. And that person, by the way, is also an advisory to our board. So he's actively involved with us. So recently, when we made a business decision that says we are not going to go forward with glycerin as our primary product, we're going to move over to the renewable, not renewable, but the pyrolysis technology. And that's when we made a decision to change our name, because it's more of an energy company now as opposed to a chemical production company. So if you look on the website now, there is a website that talks about what we're doing. That's all been created in a very short period of time. We've got an MOU now to be able to bring our product into at least the next 6 states within the 6-state area. That's in place. And we're working closely with the manufacturer in Portugal to get the products to the US as quickly as we define and identify the location. So that's why you didn't see us under that name. So it's been recently renamed and refiled. Everybody that we had in the operations for the glycerin solutions 18 months ago, everyone without exception is still the leadership team for this company. The only change is that we've now brought on the manufacturer who produces this equipment and is helping produce it on an international basis, who is now part of our team.
So what's your website?
ParticleEnergyInc.com.
And what about the one in Portugal? Is it still under glycerin?
Do they still what? I'm sorry?
Are they still listed under glycerin?
No, that company's Inc Bio. INCBIO.
Okay,
And they've been in business for probably over 30 years.
okay.
And Frank has a personal relationship that he established probably 10 or 15 years ago.
So with this being new technology, there's no other plants here in the United States, is that correct?
There's none in the United States. There's two in Portugal, one that's in the process of going up in Abu Dhabi, one that will be going up in Spain, one in South Africa. So there's a number of places in the Middle East and in Europe. The opportunity we have is we now have the rights and responsibility to bring that technology to the United States. So our first plant of this technology manufactured by this company, the technology is not new. There are other companies primarily from Pacific Rim there's 2 or 3 other companies that make this technology. None of them are in Colorado. But we have the opportunity now to bring that to the United States and to make Pueblo the flagship location.
Okay, and after your oil is produced, after it's gone through the reactor and all the process, is that able to be, is it crude oil or is it able to go directly into a car?
Well, no, it's not necessarily just for fuel.
Right, I
It's-
understand that.
Yeah, so it is higher grade than crude oil. Real quick difference from a layperson, crude oil comes out of the ground that needs to be processed and cleaned, etc. This is coming from already clean, pure plastic.
So
And
it's,
so it's already much further down the life cycle of clean oil.
so
which
it does not
creates a
need
higher
any
value.
refinery.
I'm sorry,
It doesn't need to be refined anymore?
we do not send it to refineries, no.
Okay. And I was reading that it's at a higher, it's done at a higher temperature and that's causes the emissions from cars to be more. Is that correct?
No.
No? And,
There's no, from the creation of the product, there's no emissions and they're being controlled by electronically throughout the process and meets all of the US and international protection standards. So
okay,
this won't go from our sales into an automobile or to a gas refinery. It'll go into people that use oil, if you will, for the production of various products. Oil is used in the production of many, many things.
so like infrastructure, clothing, more plastic,
all
things
of
like
that.
that.
All of that.
Okay, so as I'm looking at your presentation, I noticed that you have an engineer advisor. How many engineers and scientists have you hired for this company, or will you hire for this company?
We will be utilizing, well, I'll let Frank maybe answer that after he gives us his opinion as well. But we're not going to hire, as part of our agreement with the manufacturer in Portugal, is that their engineers will come here and train our people. So how many engineers are we gonna hire? To be determined. That's part of why we want a strong relationship with the University, CSU Pueblo and PCC, because we're gonna identify what kind of educational requirements we need to have specifically for these jobs.
Okay,
Now, at some point, we will have a group of our own engineers because we will be implementing this. This is gonna be a template in Pueblo. It's gonna be a template for national growth. So when you think about the multiplier effect for Pueblo, we're gonna be bringing a lot of people in to Pueblo to be able to see this site, to be able to look at it, kick the tires, talk to the people that are doing the training, people that are doing the work, etc. So.
and one
I
more
don't know, Frank,
question.
if you have another response to, we don't have in our pro forma, you can see all the job creation we have. Some of them are higher technology jobs, but they're not engineers to produce any of this because it's all self-monitoring. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Frank.
So one more question. Energy, how much energy will you be using to process all this?
In the further due diligence, we'll be able to tell you exactly what that is, but it's very, very little. Because the 5% of the gases that are created that aren't used for the oil and or for the carbon black is used to regenerate and power the next production cycle. So it's a circular process where everything we put into it is utilized to either create oil, carbon black, or power the next cycle.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good questions. Thank you.
All right. Councilors, is there any other questions? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close this section of our meeting. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us this evening.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it. Council's agenda. I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Madam Chair, I may move to go to an executive session for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations and or instructing negotiations. Under CRS section 24-6-402, parent 4, parent E, parent I, and the following additional details are provided for identification purposes to discuss a potential economic development project, Project Falcon.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Council will now move into executive session. It is now April 20th, 8:21 PM, and this work session of Pueblo City Council is officially adjourned. Thank you, President Eliff. Something else,